Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy, Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I'm here to bring you another WWE Raw review. So, before I get into the Raw review, there was an ROH pay per view that was this weekend. I watched a couple of matches from it, the main event and a match that had Matt Hardy in it. From what I saw, it was pretty good. I didn't get a chance to see Slammiversary, like I said in my last review, but um, what I mainly felt that I can't keep. I really want to get into watching another wrestling show, but especially with ROH, their production value is really shit. So that's what's keeping me from watching a show like ROH. If anybody is wondering, but I did watch parts of the pay per view on Sunday, and I thought the matches that I saw were really good, especially the one with Matt Hardy and I forget who he was wrestling with versus the Briscoes. I thought that was pretty good. But getting into my Raw review, you get WWE Raw that happened on June 23rd, 2014, and the show kicks off with Stephanie McMahon. She calls out Vicky. They talk about the stuff that happened on last week with her getting fed the poison coffee, and you end up getting Vicky that starts just basically talking shit to Stephanie that starts talking shit to Vicky and gets ready to fire her. Instead of doing that, she sets up a match between them two tonight. Vicky goes, "I'm not scared of you." Starts calling herself a Guerrero and saying that their name is bigger than the name of the McMahons. And I really did like that part. Just Vicky finally standing up for herself. We all know this is going to be her last night on the show, so just her going in and just living off of the name that her husband and their family stood up there for, and just continuing all that right here, I thought was very good. And she just says that that she's not scared of her husband, taught her to lie, cheat, and steal. Stephanie kind of uses that and says, okay, we'll have the match later on tonight, and that's what you're going to get later on tonight. Next, you get the Wyatt family, who has a match versus the Usos. They come out with a new theme song. It's basically a organ playing. He got the whole world in his hands. I feel that it's a little bit bland, if to say the least. The organ playing by itself is kind of creepy. Not creepy, but kind of, interesting alone. I wouldn't say it's creepy at all, but I think if they add something under it, like how the Undertaker's theme plays, I think this would be a good theme for especially these two guys as a tag team, that we don't have to keep coming out with with the Bray Wyatt song, or they can figure out how they're going to do it themselves as a tag team. But the song needs a little bit more playing to it. It needs like an under music playing to it. With just the organ playing, it sounds very flat and it doesn't sound complete. But I would like them to add something more to it. But the match starts off with Luke Harper versus one of the Usos. Really average, quick match. Basically, get Luke Harper, who picks up the win here. Then the other Uso gets on the mic, starts talking shit, saying how he's going to beat the shit out of the Wyatt family, those Wyatts, and tells them to get their asses back in the ring. Eric Rowan to get his ass back in the ring. They start having a match. Crowd actually gets into this one, and I thought they two actually did a pretty good job of just going back and forth with each other. You had a lot of good spots here where one of the Usos had got Rowan into the Uso had got Rowan into the corner. He kicks his head. Then Luke Harper was going to attack him. The other Uso jumps over him and jumps onto Luke Harper. That was a pretty good spot. And then the match ends with the Uso doing a big splash. Doing I think this is the Superfly splash that he does onto, or whatever the splash is, Samoan splash, whatever you want to call it. They call it onto Eric Rowan and picks up the victory here. Then they all start fighting at the end, and the Usos come on top in the fight, and they take the belts and they hold them up. So this is the first time that we actually see an Uso member actually touch the belts and actually play with them, and not play with them. And they kind of did, because they were looking at them all crazy and stuff, but actually really present themselves as wanting to be champions. And the first time, we see any type of championship gold on on a Wyatt member. I mean, if I said Uso before, I'm talking real fast, but on a Wyatt member. So I thought this was pretty good as far as the second part of this segment goes, with the Eric Rowan versus the other Uso match and how this ended up. After that, you get Bray Wyatt, who comes onto the Titantron, and he just starts going on about how he's proud of his boys and stuff, and he's basically saying that once they get those tag team belts and he gets the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, that they're going to rule all. I thought it was a pretty chill promo, not one of Bray Wyatt's best promos, but it was pretty good, especially for one that was just backstage. So Next, we get Lana and Rusev. They're in DC. Well, WWE's in DC. Dog barking outside. um, so WWE's in DC. They're outside, and this is a package that I guess they had filmed earlier that they were playing it out as. Um, you get both of them who or starts talking shit about just DC and the monuments that they're standing behind and stuff, and the White House, and saying how the Russian monuments are better and the Russian not the economy, but what they were saying, the Russian political system is better, and that Putin will soon rule the United States, and basically, saying the same thing they've been saying all week. Even though I did think just having a package with them on the outside was done pretty well, and just something that kind of mixed the whole thing up. I like this idea of just having them go out and stand in front of a monument and saying how the vice versa in Russia is better than the one that we got in the U.S. And actually, they kind of do this on Lana's Twitter page. She'll stand to something and say she's not pleased with America. So I'm happy that they kind of put this a little bit onto this show. I thought this was a pretty okay segment. Next, you get Paige, who comes off for commentary, and you get the Funkadactyls who come out. There's going to be a match between, what's her name? Naomi versus Alicia Fox, and you get Cameron on commentary, and I'll talk about their commentary in a minute. But you get a match between Alicia Fox and Naomi. I thought this was a pretty okay match here. The biggest problem here, even though I thought the match was okay and both girls did a pretty chill job of just working with each other, they kept bringing the camera back to the two girls on commentary and focusing on them. I thought that it was a okay job that they were doing on commentary. Very, very average, especially for Cameron and Paige. They didn't really say anything too much, but the more action that we wanted to see was going in the ring, and the end of the match I thought was a pretty good move where Naomi is doing this new finisher that she got where she just grabs the person's head and spins it into an elbow drop. And I thought that was pretty good right here. And you get the end of the match where Paige and Naomi just have this big stare down, and you find out later in the show that they're going to have a match at Money in the Bank. I would have really wished right here if you would have had Cameron play the heel role and pull Paige's feet down and let her kind of get smashed into the ramp, or the side of the ring. But they didn't do that, and they just let it play off, and it kind of ended, whatever. But this was an okay segment, an okay match as it was. It really didn't do too much for me. I'm just hoping that they could figure this out with the Divas, man. I think, if you look back at most of the PG era, the Divas matches and the Divas segments been pretty shit. But I am thinking that they're starting to get a little bit better, but it's going very, very slowly. So, also, this was a pretty funny thing. You see, Jerry Lawler was looking at Paige's ass the whole night, and he even posted it on his own Twitter page about how he had the best seat in the house. So I thought that was pretty funny. So next you get a match with Bo Dallas versus Titus O'Neil. Titus had lost against Adam Rose twice on SmackDown, and Bo talks about that here and saying that Titus, as he becomes a believer, he'll start to win. And you get a match where Titus O'Neil gets a few moves off, and Bo Dallas hits one move and picks up a couple moves and picks up the win here. And he goes to Titus O'Neil and says, you're not going to be a loser for long, something like that, and just keep Bo leaving. I thought it was a pretty funny segment as far as what Bo Dallas was saying on the whole thing. I thought that was pretty funny. The Bo Dallas character is starting to get over more and more, but I just wish that he would have more impactful matches. I think that they're not giving, as far as the matches go, enough time for him to really start getting over and really start working. He's not like a Rusev that can just do a squash and start getting over with just that and somebody cutting a promo for him. I think he actually needs to get out there and he needs to work, especially inside of a match, to get at least a 5-minute match to start, getting himself over inside the matches as well. So next you get Triple H, who comes out and he basically introduces the rest of the people for the actual Money in the Bank ladder match, and he says it's going to be Kofi Kingston, Rob Van Dam, Swagger, Ziggler, and Bad News Barrett. Adam Rose, Dean Ambrose isn't introduced till later on in the night, but he says that, then he brings out Seth Rollins, saying he believes that Seth Rollins is going to be the main person to win it. Triple H was kind of cheesy here. He starts doing the RVD stuff and doing it Wade Barrett, British voice and stuff like that here. I thought that was pretty cheesy, and it really wasn't, what I really wanted to see from Triple H. It's kind of off, and you could tell that really wasn't him. I would have loved for him to be like more vicious especially as the heel authority role. I think that feels better as what he should be doing. This felt like something Vince would do and not that Triple H would do. But you get Seth Rollins, who comes out and he basically starts going on about how he's going to win it and how he's the architect, and crowd starts chanting "You sold out," and he's saying, "Y'all still worrying about that?" And I did like that where he's just saying, that's get over it. That's so 3 weeks ago. Get over that shit. And I did like that. So you get him in Triple H, who starts going on about Rob Van Dam and stuff. Rob Van Dam comes out. I know he says, Seth Rollins says he's going to be Mr. Money in the Bank. Rob Van Dam comes out, and I think this is the best promo Rob Van Dam has cut in a long time. He starts going back and forth with Seth Rollins. I believe he says something. I think Seth Rollins says something about how, the last time you were relevant was in 95 or something, or 2000. No, he says, if this was 2005, I would be scared of you, or something like that. And then Rob Van Dam goes on and says, well, back in 2005, you were watching my matches, wanting to be what I am. So I thought that was really good, just back and forth with these guys, and it ends up setting up a match between both of them. The match itself was okay for what it was. I think that they could have, gotten a little bit more strife and pull into this match. Like I've said, RVD is not clicking like he used to. So, the matches aren't that hard hitting anymore, and, he's doing his moves, but it just feels like, he's going in paces and doing that. The match itself was, like I said, was okay. It comes down to Seth Rollins hitting his moves, hitting the curve stomp, looking like he's going to win, and Dean Ambrose comes in. Got a cat now. Dean Ambrose comes in and interrupts in the match, and I guess what's his name? Rob Van Dam picks up the win by DQ. And you get Dean Ambrose, who basically beats the shit out of Seth Rollins, knocks him out on the outside. He's just fucking him up. I think he runs on the announce table at one point, and they just fighting each other. He gets back in the ring, and he gets on the mic, and he basically starts talking about how he needs to be put in the Money in the Bank match, or he's going to come to the pay-per-view and fuck up the whole match for Seth Rollins. So I really did like Dean Ambrose promo at the end, and just his fury. The only one thing I have is that Dean Ambrose, you got to stop dropping that damn mic when you're doing these promos, man. Like, say everything you need to say, then throw the mic down. I understand, it kind of makes you more crazy if you throw it down before you finish your words, but it doesn't really look that great on TV if you do it before you finish. So, throw it down, then go crazy, But I thought the match itself was okay. The stuff with the stuff with Seth Rollins and Rob Van Dam was really good. And the Dean Ambrose just crazy promo at the end I thought was pretty good. So next you get another guy who's pretty good at promos. You get Bad News Barrett, and he just starts going on and saying how he's going to win this match between him and Ziggler, then win Money in the Bank, and he's going to make Ziggler change his name after this, and just like he's going to make Ziggler change his name, just like the team of DC is going to have to do. And as you don't know, Washington Redskins have to change their name from Redskins, which is a racist name, and he calls it racist here, so I thought that was pretty funny. Just that line I thought was pretty funny. The rest of the promo was okay, but I thought him, just saying that the Washington Redskins have to change their racist name, I thought that was pretty funny. So you get into the match between him and Ziggler. I thought this was a really, fun match. The crowd started chanting, "This is awesome" here. You get at the beginning of the match where Ziggler hits the zigzag and thinks he's going to win but doesn't cover. So you come back for commercial break and they just start going at it. And I thought both of these guys really came and did their stuff. You get a gang of, really good moves. He hits his I forget what this move is called. I'm tripping right now, but I forget what this move is called. And Ziggler just goes in, and a lot of near falls and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty chill to do that. But the match ends up where Ziggler gets hit with the what's the name of the bull hammer. I don't know why I'm tripping on Barrett's moves, but Ziggler gets hit with the bull hammer after he tries to do a splash into the corner, and Bad News picks up the win here. So I thought this was a pretty good match here. I thought both of them came out there and they did their thing, and for me, this was my match of the night right here. But, I'm curious to see who's going to win at the end of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I'll start talking about that at the end of this video, plus on my SmackDown review. So Next, you get your match of that people have been waiting for, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about this match, especially since this is going to be probably the last time we're going to see Vicky on the WWE programming for a while. So you get Vicky, which is supposed to be her versus Stephanie McMahon, and Stephanie comes out and says, it's not going to be that match. It's not going to be in the ring. The match is going to be that Stephanie, either one of them, either was it the first one that gets thrown into this look like a pool of mud or whatever this brown shit that was in the pool, loses the match, and Stephanie brings out her goons. They get in, they go out and basically grab Vicky, try to throw her into the pool. She gets Rosa Mendez into the pool, Layla into the pool, and also what's her name? Alicia Fox into the pool. And then Stephanie jumps behind her, kicks her into the pool, and Stephanie starts saying yes, 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 and singing na 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 goodbye and stuff behind her. Vicky turns around and throws her into the pool. So then you get basically all of that, and Vicky screaming and stuff. I mean, not Vicky, but Stephanie screaming and stuff. And that's the end of that part right there. And this is the last time we're gonna see Vicky. And she heads up to the ramp, does the little Eddie Guerrero dance, and the end of the Guerreros on the show. And you get Stephanie, who goes crazy at the end, and the crowd is booing her and stuff like that. And she starts playing around with the referee and trying to get out the pool and throwing him into the pool. I thought that was pretty silly. But as far as Vicky goes, she's had a okay career as far as just her herself. I thought she did gain a lot of crowd heat, especially with her "Excuse Me" and stuff, and she had a lot more heat than some guys on the WWE. A lot of people booed her, a lot of people hated her. She had a pretty good run with Eddie, and I thought she had an okay run with Ziggler. Going later into her run, it started just dying down, and she kind of ran her time out, but I really did want to see her daughter come up, especially through NXT. I thought that would have been a pretty good thing, but she never got the chance to. But as far as her and what Eddie did, I thought they had a pretty good run in the WWE. Hopefully her daughter can get back into this and find somewhere for her to be. But peace out, Vicky. Hopefully see you somewhere else. I heard that she's going to get her a degree in something, so going back to school for something. So that's pretty good for her. But yeah. So next you get Zeb Culture, who comes out and he cuts his same little promos that he always does. Says "We the people." Then you get Kofi Kingston versus Jack Swagger. They have a okay back and forth right here. The crowd gets into a little bit for Kofi. Then Swagger hooks on the ankle lock. Kofi Kingston tries to get out and ends up tapping. Swagger wins. I thought this, like I said, was a pretty average match. The crowd gets into it a little bit when Kofi starts doing his moveset, but not too much to it. And at least Swagger gets some, win off of this and picks himself up a little bit. Next, you get Abraham Lincoln, who comes out. Not this guy, but this guy. Sandow comes out dressed as Abe and starts saying the crowd doesn't control him and does the whole 7 years ago thing. And in the middle of his speech, Big E comes out. They have a match. Big E squashes him. Sandow gets a little bit of offense, but Big E basically controls this, and that was basically the end of this. Then you get a part that I actually liked. Big E gets the mic once one of the announcers comes in and tries to do an interview with him. Big E grabs the mic and he goes into this preacher promo and just starts talking about America in this promo. And he just and all that stuff. I was just laughing my ass off the whole time. I'm happy that they're giving Big E a little bit of his character to shine here, and I thought that was pretty good for him. Lana comes out and she just starts shitting on America, talking shit about Big E, and Rusev comes behind him. Dexum puts him in an alkalate, and Big E just stands there and just gets laid out from that. So I like the end part of the segment. The match itself and the stuff with Damian Sandow was crap, but the end stuff with Big E and the preacher talk, and then Lana coming out looking hot, and Rusev coming out laying out Big E was pretty good. Hopefully we can get another good match from them at the pay-per-view, and hopefully that match is a little bit longer. I think that they can put on a longer match and still have a lot of fun with it. But I liked what I seen right here from Rusev and them, and I liked what Big E did, especially at the end of that match. So next you get Cody Rhodes, who's backstage with Goldust, and there's an interview going on with Goldust and one of the interview guys, the black dude. I can never tell them guys. I think it's Brian Saxton, and he started asking Goldust about about Cody Rhodes. Goldust says no, it's Stardust now. So then Stardust comes in and he starts singing the Disney song Once Upon a Star, I think it's called, and he blows these gold dusts and stuff like that into the camera and then goes away, and Goldust starts yelling and going crazy about it. Then he says, I'm the normal one now. I thought that was pretty funny, and I'm interested to see what they do with the Stardust character. I thought this was an okay promo right here, and just Cody acting crazy like Goldust, and hopefully he can just, push more of that Goldust stuff on. And I would like to see him back as Cody, but if this is what they're going to give him for right now, Cody is great at playing these gimmicks, and every single gimmick they've gave him, he's mastered it basically, and hopefully he can do the same with this, and hopefully somewhere along the line they can push him to a main event thing with something, because Goldust did it and got into the main event scene. Even with that, hopefully Cody Rhodes can do the same thing, and both of these guys are great workers, and to me, no matter what you do with them, you can't push both of these guys down. So I thought this was a pretty okay promo from them. Next, you get the 4-on-3 handicap match. Before the match, all through the night, you got backstage promos from everybody. You got the one from Bray Wyatt. Then you also had one from Roman Reigns and Sheamus, and they were basically talking in the back, and Sheamus starts saying how they're going to have a fight in the match, but it's going to be an even bigger fight at Money in the Bank. And Roman Reigns just basically looks at him and says, believe in Roman or something like that. Who else had a promo? Oh, Randy Orton had a promo when Vicky Guerrero's getting ready to go for her match, and he basically says he's going to become champion and that he's not crazy. He's not sad about Vicky leaving. Then you had another promo between Paul Heyman and Cesaro and what's his name? Alberto Del Rio. And basically they just had a back and forth promo, and Cesaro ends up saying he speaks 5 languages but doesn't speak loser. As far as all the promos between these guys, Cena had a promo and did his Cena thing, but as far as the promos between all these guys go, I thought they were pretty okay. They weren't too much out of these promos, and they did what they needed to do here. It's backstage promos. What can you say more about them? I think Wyatt's was the best out of anybody. It was just him talking on his own. Everybody else was with Renee, so it was okay for what they was. I think everybody else except for the one with Sheamus and Roman Reigns was with Renee. So next you get into your main event match, the 4-on-3 handicap match. I thought this was an okay match here. It wasn't as good as the one on SmackDown, but these guys came out and did the thing. This is one thing that pissed me off here. You get Cena and Cesaro who going into this, what do you call it, a battle of strength, and the announcers aren't even talking about this. You got the guy Cena who's always talking about being a Superman, and you got the guy Cesaro, the Swiss Superman, a guy that's talking about being. They always say he's pound for pound the strongest guy in the WWE, and these guys doing a battle of strength, and the announcers don't acknowledge this at all. And it kind of pissed me off when I was watching this. You can't do something like that and don't acknowledge it. That's kind of shit is stupid, and another reason why I hate the WWE announcers. But like I said, the match was okay. Every single guy got their spot, seeing Bray Wyatt and everybody. The hot tag came when Roman Reigns got in and started doing his thing. Then it started going back and forth with everybody. Another hot thing was just Bray Wyatt in the match. He always does good in these type of matches to me. Another final hot tag came when Sheamus got in, started going off on everybody. Ends up hitting this bro kick onto Cesaro, pinning him, and picking up the win for the whole team. Then you get Kane, who comes out and starts choke slamming the shit out of everybody, and he throws Roman Reigns into the guardrail, then gets in the ring and choke slams everybody. I think before that, after the match, no, it was in the match where Cena was doing the AAs to everybody and stuff like that. But this is what I meant to say. After the match, after Kane started chokeslamming everybody, you get Triple H who gets onto the stage, and he announces that Kane will be the 8th and final guy into the ladder match for the title. So you kind of get Kane getting himself back into the world title picture here. And I thought if they were going to put him somewhere, they would put him into the briefcase match, but they put him into the main event match, so that's pretty interesting. And I don't know if they're putting him in there to probably put the belt on him and go back to the fucking him and Daniel Bryan, which I hell fucking don't want that at all. But it's interesting to see them do this. And before you can get the show to end, and Kane does his pyro, Roman Reigns spears Kane, and he stands tall, looking at the Authority and Randy Orton, and just basically saying, "I'm gonna kick ass at the pay-per-view." As far as this show goes, I thought it was an okay night of wrestling here. Like I said, the match of the night was Ziggler versus Barrett. It's crazy. Barrett's been having these great matches since he's got that IC title belt. It doesn't seem to be hindering him any right now. And Ziggler, starts coming up. You even had Triple H in his promo tonight say how when Ziggler, everybody say I'm always holding back Ziggler, but I'm putting him into this match, so I'm not holding him back. So that was pretty interesting to hear Triple H actually say that. What else? The stuff with Vicky Guerrero I thought was pretty okay here, and I thought it was a nice way for them to get her off of TV and let her have her final night on the show. She started really going into her Eddie Guerrero stuff, but I thought that was pretty chill. Anything else? I thought the stuff with Seth Rollins and RVD was pretty okay, and having Ambrose do his thing. As far as my grading for the night, I'm gonna go with a B minus. As far as a go home show for the show, I don't think it was that great of a go home show. But as a Raw, I thought it was a pretty chill Raw, and they did everything they needed to do to set up to the next week's show. It really doesn't have a lot of matches going into to the pay per view. If you count them down, there's only the women's tag team match, not the women's tag team match, the women's Divas title match, the tag team match, the Money in the Bank match, and the title ladder match. 4 matches going into the pay-per-view. I think they may need to add at least 2 more matches in that pay-per-view. But like I said, it's an okay show tonight, and I think they did what they needed to do. So also, they said that Daniel Bryan is going to be coming back at the Money in the Bank kickoff show, and it'll be the first time that we'll hear from him and how he feels about having his title stripped away from him. So that's going to be interesting. And you got your 2 big Money in the Bank matches set up, and this is going to be interesting to see how they go from here. Thank you for watching, everybody. Hit me up in the comments down below. Like, subscribe. Hit me up in my links. You can hit me up on Facebook at Christopher Wallace, and you can hit me up on Instagram at Compton_animator. Thank you for watching. Peace.